Welcome to the Daily Crossing. Today we want to take the time to actually congratulate the people of El Salvador. This country has an incredible, remarkable story connected to what today should be considered one of the best leaders. There is no other way to put it. And the results speaks for themselves. Nayib Bukele, congratulations for today taking possession on your new government. Hopefully, you'll have another 4 years of prosperity. So let me congratulate you and congratulate the people of El Salvador. I want to give you about 7 different reasons why we believe that what's taking place in El Salvador is something remarkable. Hopefully, something that everybody is going to pay attention, treat it a little bit as a blueprint for future leaders to come. The fact of the matter is that he has provided an example of things that can actually be done as long as you can remove some level of corruption, crime. I mean, there's a combination of many things that took place out of this facility. But what he was able to do is to provide a proof of concept, right? That's first of all, that would be a point number one, meaning that what he was able to get done out of this country, considering where it was when he actually entered his presidential role, and he took a country that was at the very bottom when it comes to crime. A lot of people migrating to other countries, especially the United States, looking for economic opportunity because it wasn't there. So this man is a proof of concept to really establish that it takes one leader, it takes one person to make that much of a difference. But you can actually have the capability to transform not only a household, to transform a town, a city, a state, but to transform a whole country, which is definitely not an easy thing to do. What we have seen in the first 4 years of his election is it's nothing less than remarkable. I mean, it's just incredible. Point number two is that we got to establish the difference between street crime and high levels of corruption. I think that a lot of people, when we look into something that is going wrong in society, when you're talking about lack of security, when you're talking about lack of protection, when you're talking about not feeling safe, you immediately you think about the criminals, the common criminal, the person who's out there stealing wallets, holding up people in a corner, hijacking cars, kidnapping people, drug selling. There's so many of obviously killing a lot of innocent people. That is not the cause. That is absolutely the effect of something that hasn't been managed properly, that was not carefully considered, and also it's a clear manifestation that the people that are supposed to be safeguarding, everything that deals with law and order and preserving peace and providing security to the people so that you can function at a normal level as a society, as a country, is not being provided, it's not being introduced. So establishing the difference between the regular crime or average street crime versus corruption, you have to know that the one thing for you to consider is that the cause of what eventually becomes high levels of crime is precisely the high levels of corruption. There are entities in a government, there are entities in armed forces, there are entities such as the police, there are entities where if the levels of corruption have already entered, they become so high, essentially what actually happens is that they actually facilitate or will open the doors, usually connected to some kind of greed, some kind of political advancement. So I'm going to use what I have as a tool right now, even to go and pursue some of my own political enemies. I mean, and we see that unfortunately throughout Latin America. It's not unusual to see people being killed, to being shot at, to being intimidated, and being kidnapped. I mean, there's so many negative things that we can see when the people that are supposed to provide the kind of law and order or protect the citizens actually participate in the levels of corruption. And then obviously the other factors is when it's already happening at higher levels, right? Is when you from presidential to something as simple as the mayor of a city, talking about a lot of judges that eventually get to be bought out or actually intimidated. I don't want you to think that everybody's just taking a lot of money. It's just that when corruption is not checked and nobody is really providing the checks and balances that are needed for a society to function properly, it's not just a question. I don't want you to think that it's just a question of people, they took a bribe or somebody's bribing it. A lot of people will make choices sometimes because they just say, hey, I got to protect my family. I got it. So it's extremely important that as you attack corruption, you're also attacking the crime that's taking place out there, because these things are walking parallel to each other. And this is what this man has managed to do. Not only that he round up over 80,000 criminals and introduce a level of safety that this country, again, going from the very bottom to becoming one of the most safe countries right now throughout Latin America, and I will dare to say throughout the planet. And so to go from being this criminal the haven, right, to becoming right now the poster child for what can actually be done if you forcefully go and look for the bad people and you call evil evil and you remove the bad guys so that people can function normally. It's an incredible thing. And so targeting those groups that do actually do the physical damage to the average citizen, and then for the people that are supposed to be empowered, that are supposed to provide the level of stability, that either become corrupt, and to go and target that also at the same time is so monumental. This is one of those things that, yeah, I think there's going to be case studies for years to come. I think the history will be very kind to this man as of this moment, right? We're hoping that this will continue to be the way it is. The next point that I want to consider is that there are pros and cons, right, when it comes to being part of a populist movement. That's what his rise to political power has been described as a populist movement. You know, I mean, it's not necessarily selling out to one political party per se. It's just the people that at some point say, we had enough of having enough. We had enough of a difficult time, a difficult economy. We had enough of so much crime. And now we're looking for something different. And they found that voice and they found that representation through Nayib Bukele. And this man has provided, again, precisely what people are looking for: safety, the hope, the possibility of making investments in the country, doing something completely different, and showing the politics can actually be, as a matter of fact, not only politics, but politicians, you know, can play such a healthy, positive role. Let's face it, when you and I talk about politics and politicians, or when we're thinking about that, we immediately go to dark places. We immediately go to that moment we say everybody that's thinking already going into politics somewhere somehow is maybe already tainted or can potentially be tainted by some level of crime or criminal activity. It's not, we're not thinking at the highest level of servitude. We're not thinking about people that want to go for with noble ideas and noble intentions, which is exactly what it was supposed to be: serving the people that elected you to do a job, to represent them, and to introduce all those factors. So the pros and cons are obviously the cons is you're going to have strong enemies, and you're going to have a lot of outside voices and outside entities that will somewhere somehow will attack your position, how you go about it. The whole idea that if you're creating a nationalistic movement is labeled as a either dictatorship or a soft way of dictatorship. And it's funny enough, to somebody that was elected with 85% or re-elected with 85% support from the people, some people have the audacity to label this man a dictator. But so you see that as a negative attraction to the idea that it is a populist movement. Now, what is the positive concept? Is that when you responding, when you walking hand on hand, it's almost a little bit of a dance between the people and the president and the government, right? And everybody that is connected then, and it's a dance or consider a play where everybody knows their role and they know what they're supposed to do and they are doing it, right? It's a participation. It's involvement, and it's also the kind of support where people later on, listen, I can tell you the people that participated in this election, they are really, truly sold out to the idea that this man is a good man, and that they believe that what's actually taking place here is something extremely good and is great for the country, are already thinking. I mean, today he took possession of what officially is his new government for the next 4 years, and you already have people concerned about, okay, so what's going to happen at the end of this? Who's going to replace this man? How do we continue to function? How do we avoid going back to the challenges of the last year? And that opens the temptation of staying in power, right? And then that will validate some of those potential rumors or criticism about the idea of becoming a dictator. What makes the United States a very special place, what makes George Washington especially a very unique individual, is that when it came time to give it back, to give power back, he actually did. And since then, we had a sequence of election, an uninterrupted sequence of elections, presidential elections, where there has been a peaceful transfer of power, no matter what later circumstances or anything like that. But it has been a peaceful transfer of power. What everybody's hoping for is that, given the fact that he has done so many things, he will make it his business, right, to make sure that a peaceful transfer of power will happen. And obviously, he will be looking for people that will align with his ideas, supporting whoever is going to be part of this new political party that has taken control of the country, right, in a very good way. The next point that I want to bring to you is it's funny because I come from a country that is right next door to El Salvador. We are next door neighbors, and I know for a fact that we have friends, we have people that grew up in the area, came to the United States when we were very young, and we literally used to say, man, there were times where I didn't want to say where I came from, right? It's because you were almost embarrassed about so many bad news about the country, a lot of criminal faces that made it into the country, a lot of things that were going wrong, and those names were constantly, or those countries were constantly being mentioned. Oh, people from El Salvador, or people from Honduras, or people from Nicaragua, people from, you were constantly concerned about, man, like something bad will happen. You were always hoping and praying, please don't say Honduras, please don't say El Salvador, please. You were almost hoping that whatever bad was taking place was coming from somewhere else, opposed to hoping for no bad to be taking place, that hopefully nothing wrong, but you were just protecting your self-interest. That means that your sense of pride, that the fact that you can look at your country and you say, man, we come from a good place, we come from good people. Today, the people of El Salvador, you can see them, that how proud they are and how proud they feel. They almost looking around like, look what we have done. This tiny little country right now that is becoming the shining light to and the greatest example that we can actually have for Latin America, but even right this very moment, even for the United States and many other countries, right? To be able to have done something so remarkable. You can see how proud, and rightfully so, the people of El Salvador are walking around right now. So that's a remarkable thing to happen. And then the last thing, if I know that we talk about economic index, I know that we talking about the expended index, the consumer index. We talk about many indexes, but I'm going to tell you, I think we need to talk about the hope index. I think that for the people of El Salvador, we can literally say that the future really looks bright for. As of this moment, the amount of people that are like going into the country right now, and I'm not just talking about the average person who's saying maybe it is a good idea to do an investment, maybe it is a good idea to plant a flag. The amount of large companies, banking institutions, factories, just about every type of company that you can think about, a lot of technology is being attracted into the country, which I think it would be an interesting development if they actually have the ability to, properly position themselves as, especially right now that we're looking at the situation between China and Taiwan, and we're talking about microchips, right? That would be an interesting scenario if this tiny little country can actually become the solution for the potential microchip crisis that we're going to be confronting if something goes wrong with Taiwan, right? So this is one of those interesting scenarios that we just got to see how this whole thing is going to develop. But the hope index for the people, for the country, when you're talking about the foundation has been laid out where you can really say with a great deal of merit that the future looks bright for the people of El Salvador. And finally, I do want to take the time to obviously congratulate not only Nayib Bukele as a leader, as a remarkable leader. Our hat goes out to you with respect very much what you have done as of this moment for the country, but also for the people of El Salvador, because in that beautiful partnership that has been developed between him and the rest of the country, you have provided a clear blueprint. You have provided hope for the rest of Latin America that at this point is trying to find a new way of having a political set of options, just choices, so that we don't have to say that somebody's extreme right or extreme left. Or the failures of communism and socialism, are clearly expressed today by countries like Cuba and Venezuela, And the fact of the matter is that Nicaragua is a little bit in a limbo status, but now that you see countries like Ecuador and countries like Argentina also making choices of leadership, and this type of leaders also coming together, right, is providing hope to Latin America more than anything else. Though the commitment to avoid what is remarkable to me personally, is that we ask ourselves 1,000 times the question. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna do something that's unusual. I'm gonna move away from the camera because I do want to show you a book that was extremely meaningful to me. And this is, the Mystery of Capital, The Mystery of Capital by Hernando de Soto. He's a Latin American economist. Obviously, he dives into in a very deep sense of diving analysis when it comes to addressing the problem of corruption, addressing the challenges that come from a country that is unable to, almost a country that essentially can get to the point where it feels like it's totally lost and it has no capability to come back to function under any kind of laws or any kind of democracy, respect to life, respect to the people, respect to the citizens, and no potential positive prospect of how the economy will have the capability to operate. When we think about that, we want to thank you, President Nayib Bukele. We want to thank you, people of El Salvador, because what you have done is you have introduced an incredible level of hope, higher expectations, possibilities. The idea that if a group of noble and people that will have the courage, that will have the vision, that will have the faith to do exactly the same, to believe on their own people, to believe on the future of their own country, to know that if such person comes to power, and if the people align behind that person and everybody start rowing in the same direction, fighting for the same goal and the same dreams, you can see remarkable changes just like the one, and turnarounds, just like the one we have witnessed with El Salvador as a country. So we say congratulations. We pray for your success for the next 4 years, for your safety, and for the positive results of having a great leader leading phenomenal people. And we wish you and the people of El Salvador, Mr. President, we wish you a phenomenal next 4 years. May you continue to prosper, and may you continue to provide the level of safety that the country is hoping to get being with you. So thank you. Congratulations.